almost the fight was going on till the end.
Besides his mistake and Kankinen's win helped the Finn onto his second world title. Carlos has already shown what can happen when you get it wrong in Australia, but he wasn't the only one to crash spectacularly down under.
Lots of fast places with trees very close to the road, which obviously makes it very dramatic and a real test for the drivers.
Australia's narrow tree-lined stages made it a unique rally for drivers to contend with. Fast and precise, that driving style allowed no margin for error. If a driver came off their line just a little bit, they could find themselves in a lot of trouble.
Australia is also very high-speed rally. It's like Finland, and there is trees very close to the road, even more close than in Finland, and there is no ditches between the road. There is always tree very close on the road.
Because the trees were very close from the road, there were no ditch at all. If you miss a little bit a corner, you go for sure in the trees. You have to be very lucky to go between the trees. It was and the trees were very big, so it's the reason why it was very difficult, and above all it's a fast rally.
If you miss your braking a little bit or you go wide, you hit the tree straight away. So you need to be really lucky if you go off the road and don't hit anything.
So it's no surprise then that 18 years of Rally Australia has seen an abundance of colossal crashes, claiming the cars of WRC's top drivers and even wrecking a few championship hopes.
There has been some really big accidents there over the years. Certainly the one that Colin had with us was in '99, I think, was a huge accident, and you know, he sort of head on into a tree.
That tree would give McRae's co-driver Nicky Grist a fairly nasty shock.
It was in a stage called Murray Pines, and that is the one and only time that I ever thought, my God, I am going to die.
Having already hit a rock when he was leading on the first day, Colin McRae started day two determined to claw back the 50 seconds that had dropped him to third. His bad luck would continue in spectacular form though, this tree handing the Scot his 7th retirement in a row. Nicky Grist remembers it vividly.
We were on a full charge and things were going quite well. There's one particular flat-out 6-gear junction to the right where the car took off and launched, but it landed kind of broadside and on the front wheel. But when it landed, it spun the steering out of Colin's hand and the direction of the car changed. At the last minute, I closed my eyes and there was this almighty impact. And the car just spun around and I opened my eyes and I thought, my God, I'm alive. I'm alive. I couldn't believe it. And I got out of the car and all of a sudden, oh, I couldn't work out what it was, but the only injury I had was I broke my toe. There was wheels off, bumpers off, everything off the car, but we survived.
Those Australian trees have stopped many a top driver in their tracks over the years, and Toyota's Didier Auriol was no exception. The day before McRae's momentous crash, Auriol was driving to keep his title hopes alive when he ran his Corolla into a tree. The collision all but ended Auriol's title chances. 3 years later, and Francois Duval became another casualty of the woodland roads. His Ford Focus collided with the trackside trees to end his rally and send the Frenchman to hospital.
Part of the problem was that even though the stages were slippery, they were quite fast. And if you did make a mistake, and on the surface like that it was quite possible, then you had very little margin. Whereas on a British forest you would have a bit of verge at the side, a ditch, a bit of bank, and then you'd come to the trees. In Australia, in some places, if you made a mistake, you were straight into a tree.
Over the years, those trees have caught out some of rallying's best.
You see some of the accidents that have happened there, and there's been some big impacts into trees because it is so fast and the trees are close to the road. They're usually going to be big impact.
We now look back to 2001. We've already seen Francois Delacour fall victim to a tree, but in fact the Frenchman parked up treeside not once but twice in successive years. Once at a Ford and once at a Mitsubishi. Twice putting co-driver Daniel Grattalube in hospital.
The first one was not so bad when you look at the pictures. The second one was worse in 2002. The first one, 2001, we hit small trees. Okay, I was unconscious with many ribs broken. I stayed only 8 days at the hospital. But the second one was a huge one because we were nearly maximum at 180 kilometers per hour. and we hit in a long left corner street stump, and we lost completely the front left, and we went directly straight into the trees, and it was a huge accident. It was absolutely incredible to be still alive after this sort of accident. The body shell must be very, very strong. So, okay, now it's a bad souvenir, but it's also a good souvenir because I'm still here to speak to you.
Delacour succumbed to Australia's dangers 2 years running, but Marcus Grönholm would later outdo him by crashing out down under 3 times in 4 years. In 2003, Grönholm was leading until he turned too early on an uphill hairpin, getting his Peugeot stuck in the bank. After losing 17 minutes, Marcus decided to withdraw from the event. The following year, he fared no better. The Finn was leading the pack by 21 seconds before, yes, another tree stopped him in his path.
We have hit a tree at 3.3 kilometers and we cannot restart the car.
Taking advantage of the newly installed Super Rally rule, Grönholm restarted the next day, only to relinquish again to the dangers of the forest.
We came too wide over the crest and on the loose and hit the tree again. It was maybe not so clever to start this Super Rally again.
In 2006, needing maximum points to keep his title hopes realistic, Marcus was leading the rally until his Australian bad luck caught up with him once more.
There is no third or second gear accident on that event. The drivers just get that little bit offline. Look at Marcus's accident 2 years ago. He just got this much offline, boom, gone. In Australia, there's always a lovely tree stump on the side of the road. You never get away with it. It's never forgiven. After saying that, Marcus was lucky he got back on the road eventually, but normally exactly where it's going to happen, it's high speed, there's a tree stump there, and they just wreck the cars completely.
His battered Focus climbed 51 places to finish the rally in 5th, but it wasn't enough to stop the title being handed to absent driver Sebastian Loeb. Following the Finn's retirement, local boy Chris Atkinson found himself heading the pack before sliding on a corner and running off the road. But it was the aftermath that attracted the headlines when his car got stuck. Heat from its underside was starting to set fire to the surrounding vegetation. PWRC drivers Dean Herridge, Marcus Legato and Jari-Matti Latvala all stopped to help. Having emptied out their fire extinguishers, were barred from the following stage on safety grounds. Amazingly, Atkinson recovered and went on to finish 9th. What was to be an eventful first day in 2006, Henning Solberg followed suit. But unlike Grönholm and Atkinson, it was enough to end his rally.
That was not a nice one. It was quite flat out on the 5th gear, and it was too wide, and we out of the shacks, and we lost the line. And we hit that tree in 170 kilometers just in my door, so it was that was not so very nice.
Yeah, I came around the corner. I lift a little bit on the throttle, and then I get a big slide. So and I came out in the loose, and it was a tree that I felt this tree down over the road. So when my brother came behind me, he saw the trees over, and then he said, "I hope it's not ending," but it could be.
After years of bumpers meeting trees at hundreds of kilometers per hour, WRC drivers had learned to stay focused on their lines to avoid careering off into the woodlands. But trees are not the only thing in Australia that can stop rally cars.
Kangaroos, yeah, not our favourite animal. No. Again, you know, leading the event. Was looking like a fairly comfortable sort of win with a day to go. And yeah, took a kangaroo out, so that's how it is. Wildlife is part of rallying, and unfortunately, time a kangaroo down, not.
In 2005, a kangaroo damaged Harry Rovanpera's car when they collided on the 2nd day. The Finn was able to carry on and eventually finish 2nd, but Peter Solberg would not be so lucky. Skippy's older brother, Kamikaze, fatally damaging the Norwegian's Impreza.
Came out from the forest, couldn't see anything, so it's just incredible.
riders Kangaroo had to fight for headline space that year, though 2005 being one of Australia's most exciting rallies, as we're about to see. The 2005 Australian Rally was to provide a dramatic end to the season. It was a case of welcome to the new Ford Focus, welcome back to Colin McRae, and au revoir to French giants Peugeot.
It's a lot of emotion for me, but also for all the team. It's the end of a beautiful story.
Citroën had already wrapped up the Manufacturers' Championship with Sébastien Loeb claiming the driver's title, but there was still history to make. Victory here would break Lancia's record of 10 wins in a season. Loeb was first out though and found road sweeping the gravel stages hard work, trailing the top three for much of the first day. Teammate Daniel Carlson's car up in flames early on in the rally. Marcus Gronholm was determined to end Peugeot's reign on a high by securing second place in the championship, and he looked strong until a loose bolt damaged his front suspension. The local constabulary forced Gronholm to effect a repair before carrying on.
I'm going to follow you for 2 kilometres. Yes. I'm going to stop you again. Okay. We're going to have a look at the car. Everything's sweet. You're on your way. Okay. Thank you. All right. Fantastic.
In the end, they decided the car was not roadworthy, and the Finn had to bow out, ending 10 seasons of Peugeot in the WRC at the roadside. Local boy Chris Atkinson took the lead early on, daring to dream of a glorious finish on home turf, before a broken steering arm would see him drop 12 places over 2 stages.
Understandably, you seem really down.
Go from leading your home rally back to wherever we are now, like, it's devastating.
And there was still more drama to come. Sébastien Loeb had taken the lead late in the day, only for the inconceivable to happen on the following stage. A rare mistake from the Frenchman ended his rally and proved that the infallible do sometimes fall. This left Citroën's record in the hands of the erratic François Duval. 2005 had been a difficult year for the young driver, but he now found himself climbing steadily up the table with a good chance of a podium finish. This was to be a rally full of surprises. Whilst leading on day 2, a Kangaroo put an end to Solberg's victory hopes, making it 3 world champions down, 1 left to go. Colin McRae suddenly found himself trailing Duval and fighting for second with Harry Robin Pereira. In 2005, no one would have predicted a top 3 comprising of a Mitsubishi and a Skoda. McRae was on course for securing a historic finish for the Czech team, but there would be one last dramatic twist in this rally. After problems in the stage, Skoda's engineers decided to change the clutch, but what should have been a routine job turned into a nightmare, and the team found themselves out of time.
Mickey, you got 10 seconds to go. It's not going to happen.
No, I don't think so. It's such a... I can't tell you how disappointing it is to finish this rally like that, especially after we put our heart and soul into it, you know. It's really gutting. That's it. It's over. It's over. Really disappointing.
A devastating end for Nicky Grist and McRae, but their efforts had gained the respect of their peers, who turned up from every team to express their admiration. That incident meant that privateer Manfred Stoll inherited 3rd place in his OMV Citroën, and Harry Robin Pereira gave Mitsubishi their best result of the season with 2nd.
Okay, finish.
But the celebrations belong to François Duval and the Citroën team. In a season fraught with incident, the 24-year-old saved his best till last and gave Citroën another reason to celebrate with a record that confirmed their sheer force in World Rally. Coming up, we hear what's next for Rally Australia. Fasten your seatbelts, because Chris Atkinson is going to give you an exclusive guide over that Bunnings series of jumps. Welcome back to Greatest Rallies Australia. After an absence of 2 years, 2009 will see Rally Australia back on the calendar. This time, though, it will be on the other side of the country, on the East Coast in the Northern Rivers region of New South Wales.
The East Coast has always been felt better from a media point of view, where the majority of the population live up and down from sort of Sydney, Melbourne in the south up to Brisbane up in the north.
The landscape is absolutely brilliant, fantastic, yes. And